Hi, everybody. So, I really want to share with you my experience of spiritual awakening. So, some people, what is actually spiritual awakening? For me, the way I perceive it is when you really open yourself to this energy world, when you start perceiving that there's something more, when you realize that there is life after death, that we have past lives, when you realize that you have basically soul, and the soul is here just accommodated in your body, sheltered by your temple for a certain time, okay? But basically, you're just here exploring the planet while learning a lot and also mastering this physical dimension. So, being aware of this is something what can happen to people gradually, or sometimes you might have actually like a very specific moment in your life when you open to it, when you realize, oh wow, there's something more. And it's not just a realization, but it's full body experience when you actually change forever, right? When you are absolutely changed. And it also changes your perception and everything what you consider to be true until this moment. So I remember in 2012, you know, that 2012 was a big year for all the planet, right? It was like a big milestone. Many people who have not been awakened by the time they reached their awakening, including myself. So I remember in December, I was actually having shower and I looked at my hand the same way as I'm looking now. And all of a sudden, I felt I had strong realization that this body is just my shelter and that my soul actually originates somewhere else. That the soul is only in my body for a kind of like a visit, that my body is the shelter for my soul. Mm. And that was actually followed by a lot of downloads, as I call it, and sudden realization and insights. Like suddenly I felt very guided to go on YouTube and to search for videos about how to open my third eye, even though I used to watch this even before, but now on a deeper level. And I actually started to feel the difference because it opened my sensitivity. And I started to watch videos about Arcturians. Later, I understood why Arcturians, because actually Arcturian beings, which are galactic beings, they usually help with awakening, and they also give you a lot of healing. Okay, so I had a lot of karmic healing, a lot of karma to be healed, and I started spontaneously to watch videos on YouTube that are channeled from Arcturian beings. And I must say they were very powerful. And day by day, I started to receive more and more information. Like, for example, about crystals. I started to meditate with crystals. And somehow, when I was holding the crystal, I reached a state that felt like a diffusion, or we were like uniting with the crystal. And I felt like the crystal was purifying the energy inside of my body. And I myself became a crystal. And through this connection, I became crystal clear, which enabled me to really like deepen my intuition and to look, to see through my psychic abilities, the world around me. Now I was equipped with a lot of downloads. Afterwards, I received a lot of information, and kind of like a procedure on how to ascend. During this time, I feel I even reached state for 1 week when I felt like I ascended. It got to a day, to a stage when I felt like I was offered to ascend. But I was stopped by fear and by actually because I thought it would mean to leave my body, and I didn't want to leave my family here behind and all people that I met on the path, and also the people that I felt have been waiting for me here. Because always when you are born, you already have soul contracts with several people, right? You know that you will meet these people. You have created contracts a long time before you were incarnated. So, and you can feel maybe even now if you feel like some feelings arrive. I feel it so much because we have agreed to meet with people to play our role in their lives and to fulfill our mission here. So this is a very important part, okay? We are here always with others. We never come alone, and we have many soul contracts. Sometimes it takes time to find the people in our physical life. Sometimes we are separated by continents. Sometimes we just need to learn certain lessons before meeting these people. But we are here for them, and they're here for us. And sometimes we don't, even before we meet physically, you feel them in spirit, energetically, and you get to see certain, or you get to learn certain lessons before meeting them. Now, after I remembered certain lives, then I also actually I started to clear a lot of my heart chakra, work on forgiveness, because through your heart, opening your heart is one of the most important parts of spiritual journey, right? Because only when you are able to let go of resentful feelings, or when you can forgive to others, when you can really be open to receive love and to connect, to create this heart-based connection to others. And also your heart is essential for healing others. When you heal, it's important that your heart is open. But of course, it shouldn't be also overactive, because in this world, you need to understand what are boundaries and how to communicate with others, how to understand if somebody is trustworthy, because many empaths can get burned right during their life, even though it's also part of what they chose, part of their lessons to be learned on how to navigate our sensitivity and our psychic abilities here on earth in this setting, right? While we have so much soul remembrance from another dimensions and another lives, and we actually connect to our Godhead, and we receive all these downloads, and we kind of like turn into our avatars. We get to see, we get to perceive from another levels, right? It's different for everybody, though. The journey is different for everybody. And I remember after this experience, I met my so-called twin flame, and in a very interesting way, because I left my birth country and I felt pulled to go to Spain. And right when I went there the first time, I saw signs where it was written twin everywhere. By the time, I really even didn't know about twin flames. I wasn't putting so much attention on that. Even to already 1 year before I did this step, I felt there's somebody coming into my life and I should wait for him. And I was refusing all relationships, okay? So this felt like a twin flame experience, but regardless these labels, because I don't dwell on labels, and I believe and I learned after this relationship ended that it's really important to not believe that there's only one person for you, okay? Because you might get stuck on your path. Even if we have twin flames, then there's only one person for you. Sometimes it's time to go different ways for your soul to expand so you can learn the things that you want to learn. And sometimes, even though you might be connected on a soul level, it doesn't mean necessarily you have to be with each other in a physical life. Now, I'm just saying that I'm mentioning that because this was a great example on how relationships can activate you as well. After after I met him, when I met him, I experienced so many activations. I received so many downloads from this plane, but also other planes that I can hardly describe. It opened my perception on a huge level, and I've actually, even during healings, or it's hardly describable to compare it to this experience. It just activated me on a very deep level. And whenever we were together, I felt so much love. I felt like a deep sense of union with everybody. I felt like everybody was my brothers and sisters. It was an incredible experience until there was a time to separate from each other and to go separate ways, because there were certain tasks that each of us had to do on their own. And later I learned that the relationship with soulmate can be actually even more powerful, more healing, and I because even though as much as it was beautiful at the beginning, the twin flame relationship, it turned into a little bit traumatic experience. And I after this I recollected kind of like healing experiences, corrective experiences when I was searching for different type of a man archetype, or like a different feedback from side of man. Yeah, like for example, in that twin flame relationship, I didn't feel at the end of the relationship, when some karma stirred up, I felt it was difficult for me to receive from this man, and then I didn't feel admired by this man. So later, I was actually finding men who were able to give me compliments, to give me love, to give me pleasure, to give me maybe sometimes small gifts, to give me their time and full attention. Mm. So I learned a lot about twin flame soulmates, and even though what they say, I believe it's possible to cut cords to a twin flame, even though you might be still connected on a higher self level. But as for like any negativity around you, or negativity bonding you to each other, I think it's possible, and I through multidimensional healings, there's a lot of work to be done on multidimensional levels, sometimes between twin flames or twin flame souls, or you might be calling it in different ways. So I actually, my career as a healer really speeded up after the breakup with my twin flame, because his energy was a little bit dense and I always felt like pulled down by his energy. And it was after the breakup that I felt like I could finally reach the heights where I was heading, kind of, like I received around 40 different energy initiations and I became obsessed with healing, very obsessed. I wanted to become the best healer in the world. And so I was receiving these attunements. I started with some Reiki attunements, or there are like different parts of it, like different how to call it. Now I can find a word for it. But anyway, it was super powerful. But I also learned that during this process you need to balance it with grounding. That has been a huge part of my journey, to learn about spiritual bypassing and light worker syndrome and grounding, putting everything into practice, putting everything into physicality, because if you want to, like, a grounded spirituality, I'm a great fan of grounded spirituality, to be the example that you want to see in the world and to ground it in your behavior. It's called embodiment, right? Like, until you embody it, like I used to sit hours in my meditation. I really lived like a modern monk. I used to meditate for around 3 or 4 hours every day for several years, just because I really wanted to learn about myself, and because I'm such a peaceful and loving person, and I didn't like when other people were acting out their emotions. So I wanted myself to conquer this, to handle it, okay, to become a master of it. So I learned a lot about meditation, and I accessed a lot of knowledge and wisdom. But then there is a time when you need to put this into practice, when you need to ground it. This dimension art only makes sense as for like results and actions, right? Sometimes you might feel frustrated that we are surrounded by so much 3D. But one of the reasons might simply be that we haven't put enough we didn't do enough action, right? We didn't ground ourselves enough. So because we spend too much time like meditating or escaping from the world. So yes, for me, it's really important nowadays to ground it and to pass it also to other people. So I'm actually putting together some material to pass it on other people, like all the things that I learned on my journey. And I will keep you updated about all the things that I offer.